How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to 1-1 Performance. Today's the day that we are going to get the pistons coated with the ceramic coating. I lined it up today with the piston that has not had any work done to it here on the left, followed by one that's had, I think, just a little bit of a shaving done. This one has been, we used a buffer wheel on it with our Dremel, and this one is actually the finished product. This is what we're going for today. So some of the things that you're going to need, some of the things you'll need are, if you have a Dremel, get some of these carbide burrs. They are great at cleaning up any imperfections. Obviously use them in moderation because these can cut through aluminum really fast. And also the buffer pads. You can get these for like, I don't know, I think a couple bucks on eBay for a package of 50. It's really worth it. They do get used up pretty quickly. So some things I'm going to talk about are, I guess I'll start here, and hopefully you guys can see this. There are some deals here and you know, everywhere that I actually ground down, because on the piston from the manufacturer, you can see these raised bumps. They're really weird. If you can, hopefully you guys can see them, but you can feel them, and they're really sharp. It's basically something that could cause pre-detonation in the engine. And also, when I coat it, I don't want any of those raised spots. And here's the coated piston up close. It's really smooth. The coating's like glass hard. Doesn't scratch. So this is the process that we went through. This piston has not been done. This piston has just had some of the high spots taken off of it. This one has had the buffer wheel and is basically ready for paint, but we have to do an outgas process and also clean it before we do that with some rubbing alcohol to make sure that there are no oils in the piston at all, because aluminum is porous, and we just want to make sure that the coating adheres and doesn't fall off while the engine is running, obviously. So I'm going to get the camera set up so that you guys can see the process to go from this one to this one ready to paint. We're going to get both of these ready to the paint process and outgas the three of them, paint them all together, and I think you guys will enjoy this. Alright, I got the pistons over here at the bench, and we're going to get this cleaned up with the carbide burr. Like I said, this one has already been done. It's got, you can see a couple spots in it, so we're going to clean up. There's one there, one there, one there, one there. We just want to, we don't want to gouge into the piston. We just want to kind of level it off a little bit. So we'll get that done, move on to the next step. Alright, so got this one done. You can see the spots that were done to it. Not much, honestly, to this piston, but we're going to swap the piston, or the carbide burr, out for the buff pads, which you can see I got a large package of them. Like I said, you can get these on eBay. I think they're probably Chinese made, but that's alright. They get the job done. Alright, so with the buff wheel on, we're going to basically just kind of scuff this up. We're going to scuff the edges where you can see that it's shiny. And since the paint's not wrapping any farther than the 45-degree cut right there on the edge, we're going to not try to sand past that portion right there, because we're going to have tape on this and it's not getting coated anyways. So alright, so there you go, guys. There's kind of like a before and after. The one I just worked on right here on the top. You can see that it's doled out in its appearance. You know, we scuffed it up. It's the same thing as a Brillo pad, just on a Dremel, so it's a lot quicker. If you guys just have a Brillo pad, that's perfectly fine to use. So we'll get this one done and we'll get them prepped for paint. Okay, got the last one done. So now we have to clean them up with a degreaser. You can use anything you want. I use Dawn dish soap for a lot of things, and also a product that you can get from Dollar General called LA is Totally Awesome. It's a really heavy degreaser. It will eat aluminum, so don't let that sit on there. But you can clean it up with Dawn dish soap. And the next process that we're going to have is to put these, after they're cleaned, into the toaster oven that we have that I use for curing. It's going to be in there at 200 to 250 degrees for about 20 minutes. Kind of burns off a lot of the oils, and then we are fully ready to paint that. So I'm not going to show the process of cleaning it, due to the simple fact that, I mean, it's cleaning. You just get yourself a toothbrush or something fine and just clean it up. Make sure it's clean. Alright, so after you've used your favorite degreaser to clean the piston tops off, well, actually clean the entire piston, you're going to want to make sure that you have a toaster oven or even a regular oven that you do not use for food. The chemicals that you're going to use when the ceramic paint is put on will actually evaporate and attach itself to the insides of the oven or toaster oven, and it is very toxic if it gets in your food. So make sure, if you have to go out and buy a $30 toaster oven from Walmart, go do that. It's the best way possible. But here's how I set it up. You know, you only see the 3 pistons because I have one done already. But since it's just cleaning, what we're going to do is put them in here at 250 degrees, or 200 to 250 degrees for roughly 25 minutes. And this takes the oils that might be absorbed inside the piston and brings them to the surface and evaporate, well, kind of burns them off, if you will. And then they'll be prepped for paint after we give it a wipe down from alcohol. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and let it bake. I do use a thermometer to make sure that this toaster oven gets up to temperature. I kind of don't trust it because sometimes it's real finicky. But here we go. Alright guys, they've been in there for the 25 minutes at 200 to 250 degrees. We're going to let it cool now, and then we're going to clean it up with rubbing alcohol and get started on the painting process for it. Okay, so now the outgas process is done. We are going to actually start masking up the piston because we don't want paint on the underside or on the sides or any of the ring lands or anything. So we're going to mask up to this line. You can see the beveled edge of the piston there. We're going to mask up to the bevel, so we want the actual bevel painted also. We just want to make sure that we don't get paint on the outside of the piston because it could cause damage to the piston walls, piston cylinder walls. So first, make sure that your hands are clean. I let these cool overnight after the outgas process, and you just want to make sure your hands don't have any oils on them that can now contaminate the clean surface. And just get yourself some tape. It doesn't have to be like high heat because the tape will be taken off before it goes into the curing oven again. So let's get this taped up. Alright, so once you guys got it taped up, you know, make sure that there is no air leaks anywhere, because anywhere you have an air leak, you have the potential to get paint in here, which can cause more damage than, you know, help. So once you get the first one done, get the rest of your pistons done the same way, and then you can start painting it. Alright, they're all wrapped up. We're going to give it one more wipe down on the face with rubbing alcohol to clean up anything that we might have added to it while touching it. Again, like I said, make sure your hands are clean. We'll wipe it down and we'll get painted. Alright guys, we're out in the garage. It's a pretty humid day today, so after I paint these, I'm going to let them sit inside so that the humidity doesn't affect how the paint is curing. I know I probably got a couple motorcycle guys wanting to kill me right now that I am painting without my bike covered. However, this paint, as it travels through the air, it dries pretty quickly, so we'll be painting pretty up close on it. And so some of the advice that I have for you, outside of just following the instructions on the can, which is what I recommend, is to take the can and put it in some hot water, or even use a hair dryer to heat the paint up. You want the paint to not just be like room temperature. You want it to be warmer. It comes out better. It lays out flatter, smoother. The best thing here is that preparation is key. It is absolutely everything. So we're going to go ahead and get these three painted. It's one light coat, 10 minutes of wait time, second light coat, 10 minutes of wait time, and then third coat is going to be a medium to wet coat, and then you have to wait I think 30 minutes before laying the color. In my particular case, I'm only going to do the primer, the 3 applications of the primer, and then we're going to wait overnight so that I can actually re-sand the primer with a Brillo pad. Now this isn't necessary, this is just something that I have chosen to do. So I'm going to get it painted, then I'm going to scuff with the Brillo pad, and then I will get to do the color. That's just the first light coat. I don't know if the camera shows it, but I can see some of the aluminum through the paint. You're going to do 2 of these and then 1 heavy coat, but you have to wait 10 minutes in between time, so that kind of sucks. If you can find something to do, that'd be better. In my particular case, I think I'm probably going to ride the Kawasaki 125 for 10 minutes. That's just what sounds like fun. Alright, that's the third coat. We're going to let those sit overnight so I can then sand them down a little bit with a Brillo pad. And then we're going to shoot the red color over it. And that's when we will start the curing process. If you choose not to wait overnight, then the instructions say to only wait 30 minutes before applying the color. And you're going to apply the color exact same way. So we'll be back whenever I go to sand it and then paint the color. Alright, so I just got off work. These pistons have sat overnight and through the day. We're going to take a piece of Brillo pad and scuff the surfaces up on the faces. Rewash them just lightly with Dawn to clean up any stuff that's left over from the Brillo pad or anything that's left over from my hands. Again, keep your hands clean. And then we're going to paint it with the red color that I've chosen. Any color, you can use any color, it doesn't really matter. I just chose red because it was what I found cheapest on eBay. We're going to paint it with the red. I'm not going to film that. You saw me film painting it with the primer. And then we're going to bring it back in here and cure it. Again, probably not going to film the curing process, but I will explain what is needed to do for curing it. Alright guys, back in the engine room. I got the pistons painted in the color. Here they are. They are still wrapped in the tape. They've had all three coats done to them. And so before the paint fully dries, this is when I want to remove the tape. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. Let's just get the tape off these. Obviously, with the paint being still wet, you want to be careful that you don't touch any of the surfaces that obviously still need to require the paint. Okay, I got all the pistons coated. However, I am human and I've made a couple mistakes. I have some red paint on the skirt from getting paint on my fingers and then handling the pistons while I was unwrapping them. And then also, I believe it's this one here, I have a little bit of paint right there on the side of the piston, and so that's what I have this Q-tip here for. I have this Q-tip and this xylene, or however you would pronounce that. I'm really not sure. So all I'm going to do is get some of that on the Q-tip. Not a bunch, because I don't want this spreading to the paint itself. And I'm actually not sure how this is going to affect the black coating on here, which I forgot the name of it for. But seems to have taken it off. So this is totally okay for using to clean up this paint. Just like I said, be careful where you get it, because you don't want to take off anything extra. And then I believe it was this piston here. Gonna just be real careful. This is before it's cured. After it's cured, this will be much harder to remove. Alright, so not the most prettiest cleanup, but it's all cleaned up. We're going to put these in the oven now. Again, I'm not going to film the curing procedures, but basically you have to cure it 3 different times, and that is one time at 250 degrees for 30 minutes, let cool, and then 400 degrees for 30 minutes, let it cool for 30 minutes, and then 600 degrees for 30 minutes, and then let it cool. And then the coating will be very, very hard. And until this process is done, this coating is very, very soft. It feels sticky. And it's not very chemical resistant, as you've seen. After it's done, it will resist that chemical significantly. That chemical can still eat through it, but it will resist it significantly better than it has when I just touched it with a Q-tip. So I'll show you guys some footage of when it's done, when I get them out of the oven fully cured. Also, guys, I wanted to show this. This one here is the one that I have already done. This one has been cured already, and these 3 have not. You can see that it makes a significant color change. It's very dark in comparison. Hopefully the camera is able to pick that up. But we're going to go ahead and get these cured now. Alright, I'm finally done. I've got all 4 pistons done. My toaster oven finally gets a break. I'm sure it's happy about that. But everything came out really good. Let you see it here sitting on the engine. They're all very uniform. You know, didn't really have any really mishaps. So if you follow this instruction, you know, just keep your work clean. I know I've said that a lot throughout the video, but that's kind of the biggest thing. Keep your work clean. Make sure you're well prepped, and your product should end up like this. We did make a small, if you haven't seen it, we did make a small scale test video of this coating on a lawnmower. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's really cool. The results for it are very interesting. Not at all what I expected. Obviously the results were good, because you can see I'm doing it to my engine. Also, if you haven't found us on Facebook, find us on Facebook at 101 Performance, and like our Facebook page. Drop us comments. If you want to see anything, let us know. But with that, guys, just like, comment, subscribe for our videos, and we'll see you later.